Coming up on Primetime News, South Korea's military celebrated its 67th anniversary. Other than thanking all personnel in the branches of military, President Park Geun-hye reminded North Korea that there's so much more to gain for the regime through denuclearization. Korea's credit default risk reaches a two-year high, and with continued uncertainties in the global economy and Korea's main growth engine, exports, showing little signs of rebounding, things are not looking so good. The 20th Busan International Film Festival begins, staying true to the event's goal of promoting Asian directors. The opening film is a piece by a rookie director from India. For more, stay with us. Hello and welcome to Primetime News on this Thursday, October 1st. I'm Daniel Choy.
And I'm Hwang Ji-hye. Thank you for joining us. Today is Armed Forces Day here in Korea, a day to pay tribute to all past and present service members for their dedication and sacrifice.
President Park Geun-hye attended the ceremony and sent a strong message to North Korea. Kim Hyun-bin starts us off.
The Army, Navy, and Air Force celebrated their 67th anniversary on Thursday at a ceremony at the Armed Forces headquarters in Gyeryongdae, Chungcheongnam-do Province. Over 700 high-ranking government and military officials took part in the ceremony, including President Park Geun-hye and Defense Minister Han Min-gu. President Park used the occasion to thank the members of the military for their service. She also sent a strong message to North Korea.
북한은 우리 민족의 운명을 위태롭게 만들고 세계 평화의 걸림돌이 되고 있는 핵 개발과 장거리 탄도미사일 개발을 즉시 중단해야 합니다. 북한이 핵을 고집하는 한 고립은 깊어질 뿐이며 경제 발전의 길도 결코 열릴 수 없습니다.
The president also emphasized the potential rewards for the North if it engages in dialogue with South Korea and the international community.
북한이 대결이 아닌 대화의 장으로 나온다면 대한민국과 국제사회는 북한의 경제 재건을 적극 도울 것입니다. 북한은 핵을 포기하고 우리와 국제사회가 내미는 협력의 손길을 잡기 바랍니다.
President Park's speech comes ahead of the 70th anniversary of the founding of the North's ruling Workers' Party, slated for October 10th. Many experts believe North Korea will conduct a provocation of some sort around the anniversary, possibly a fourth nuclear test or an intercontinental ballistic missile launch. Kim Hyun-bin, Arirang News, Gyeryongdae.
The strife among the presidential office, the ruling Saenuri Party chief Kim Moosung, and ruling party lawmakers affiliated with President Park continues over a set of electoral rules. Many pundits view it as a power struggle ahead of next year's general elections. Park Ji-won has more.
Ruling Saenuri Party leader Kim Moosung canceled all his appointments on Thursday, although he said to reporters that it was because his health conditions were not well. This decision was largely seen as Kim's protest against the presidential office of Cheongwa-dae, opposing the recently proposed method on how to select running candidates for next year's general elections. Earlier this week, rebel party leaders agreed to nominate candidates through the so-called secured number open primary system, by which participants, both party members and non-party members, can vote for a candidate of their own choice through mobile phone polling, the number of which would be concealed during the voting process. Following Cheongwa-dae expressing concern about the system on Wednesday, ruling party's senior lawmakers close to President Park also became vocal about their dissatisfaction with the system. With the leader of the ruling conservative bloc canceling all his duties for Thursday, political analysts question whether the Park administration's strong reform agendas, particularly in the labor sector, could earn enough parliamentary cooperation within its own ruling party camp. Amid such internal conflicts, polling firm Realmeter reported that ruling Saenuri Party's support rating decreased to 37.4%, near 4 percentage point drop from last week, while the main opposition NPAD saw a 1.5 percentage point increase to 27.7%. Park Ji-won, Arirang News.
The top diplomats of South Korea and Japan have laid the groundwork for the upcoming summit between their countries and China. Japan is eager to hold a bilateral summit with Korea on the sidelines of that meeting, but Seoul says its focus is on making the three-way summit a success. Let's turn to Song Ji-san for details.
South Korea's Foreign Minister Yoon Byung-se sat down with his Japanese counterpart Fumio Kishida in New York on Wednesday local time. The two countries are preparing for a trilateral summit with China that is set for later this month or early next month in Seoul. It is expected that the three leaders will seek enhanced cooperation on pursuing peace on the Korean peninsula and prosperity in Northeast Asia. However, there is no word yet on whether President Park Geun-hye will hold their first one-on-one summit talks with Japanese Prime Minister Shinzo Abe on the sidelines of the three-way summit.
We are currently focused on making the trilateral summit a success. As for a bilateral summit between Korea and Japan, we will hold working-level talks at the Director General level as the next step.
Korea and Japan last held summit talks in 2012, but relations have soured badly over the past 3 years due to Japan's territorial claims to Korea's Dokdo Island and Tokyo's refusal to resolve issues related to its sexual enslavement of Korean women before and during World War II. The latter is a particularly emotive issue for Koreans, especially as the number of surviving registered victims is now below 50. Following the meeting, Minister Yoon reiterated the importance of resolving the sex slavery issue at an early date in order to improve the relations between the two countries and for summit talks to take place. Song Ji-sun, Arirang News.
Thousands of people gathered for Asia's largest film festival, that is the Busan International Film Festival, now taking place at the southern port city in Korea.
The 10-day event is particularly special as it's celebrating its 20th installment this year.
And let's go live to our Kim Ji-yeon, who is at the venue for the latest on the festival. Ji-yeon, it's been roughly 4 hours since the grand event kicked off. What's the atmosphere like there now?
It's great. I'm thrilled. I mean, despite the rain earlier in the day, it didn't hamper the excitement brimming the whole entire city. You can catch a glimpse of people trying to craning their necks over one of their favorite stars. The festival is regarded as one of the largest in Asia, featuring more than 300 films from 75 countries. The opening piece is Zubayan. It's about a boy who goes on a journey to learn about and question about life's important values. What's surprising is that this is a debut film by Indian director Moses Singh. And the decision to have a debut film as an opening piece shows just how much the festival is important to Asian directors like Singh to gain international recognition.
The word Zuban means mouth, it means tongue, it means speech, it means language, and it also means promise, like I give you my word, I give you my Zuban. And in this film, it means all of those things because the film is about music, the film is about keeping secrets, the film is about music being the language that connects all of these people together, that connects Vicky's character to God, that connects Sarah's character to her brother. So that is why
what Indian movie is complete without music and dance? Well, Jian, can you tell us more about some of the special events taking place to commemorate the festival's 20th anniversary?
Sure. There's a special exhibition on the top 100 Asian films, including Thai directors Apitsapua Wirasetoku's Cemetery of Splendor that won the Cannes in a few years back. And there's also A-list foreign movie stars such as French actress Sophie Marceau and Hollywood actor Harvey Keitel paying a visit. And there's also a French minister, culture minister, Fred Ferling, is also paying a visit for the special films for French classics. And the festival will close with Chinese director Larry Yang's Mountain Cry on October 10th. Back to you guys.
All right, Jian, thank you for that report. She definitely seems to be enjoying the festivity in Busan, but here in Seoul, there's another festival taking place. The city converts its streets into stages for high-flying aerial productions as the curtain goes up on this year's Hi Seoul Festival.
Performers from all over the world are here through the weekend for this annual urban event. Lee Ji-won highlights some of the festival's showstoppers.
Two men cling to a rotating hourglass, and water rains down over their heads. They're performing in front of the former Seoul train station, and the hourglass and water symbolize the station's history and the countless people who have passed through the iconic landmark over the years. It's just one of the many productions that's part of this year's High Seoul Festival. The annual event seeks to recast the city through the arts by combining performances and public programs for visitors of all ages. This year's festival features 54 companies from around the world, presenting 180 productions under the title Let's Play on the Street.
Once in a while, it's nice to see our everyday spaces turn into a stage where people can share their dreams and be as one. Then we can put aside all of our sadness, pain, happiness even, and come together and hang out.
The festival opener, a production called As the World Tipped by England's Wired Aerial Theatre, touches on environmental issues, including climate change and its aftermath.
This is the first time I've seen an aerial performance, and I find it very fascinating.
A parade, an exhibition, and an international street arts conference are also part of the event, which starts on Thursday and runs through Sunday.
Performances are being held at locations all around the heart of the capital as a way to encourage visitors to explore more about the city. Those who go may just discover something different about the city they thought they knew. 이지원, Arirang News.
Now, if you're in Korea, you might want to get ready to shop till you drop, as America's shopping phenomenon known as Black Friday has hit the country. Unlike what the government expects, some question the effectiveness the event will have on boosting consumption. Kim Min-ji has more.
Pushing and shoving to get their hands on bargains. This department store in downtown Seoul is busy with customers as autumn sales are in full swing. They came a bit early this year in line with the government's ambitious drive to boost domestic consumption in hopes that it will make up for the country's slowing exports and prop up growth. From supermarkets to even convenience stores, this is the biggest sales event Korea's ever held.
Thousands of retailers around the country will be slashing their prices during the sales event. But the question is, will it encourage greater spending?
I heard sales start today, so I came with my friend. I'm really happy because I got a bag that I wanted for a really cheap price.
I did manage to get some nice things, but I wish the discounts were greater, like 80 to 90%. That way people will spend more.
Critics on their part are questioning whether the sales event will bear fruit. Unlike the US or the UK, where retailers voluntarily slash prices to clear out their stocks, the Korean version of Black Friday was a government-led promotion. The event also overlaps with department stores' quarterly sales, which means discounts are not that eye-catching, and a majority of items on sale are carryover products. It also does not include designer-labeled brands or many manufactured goods. While it may be an opportunity for retailers to turn into black like the event's name, consumers also need to feel they're benefiting from it.
For consumers, the event doesn't feel any different from usual sales periods. In the US, people line up to buy goods. Consumers need to feel that urge and know that they are getting a bargain for them to open up their wallets.
They say the government should use this year's event as a learning page for more constructive promotions down the road that live up to the concept of Black Friday. Kim Min-ji, Arirang News.
Korea has started emissions testing on Volkswagen cars suspected of running emissions cheating software. Up to 120,000 cars are set to be affected in Korea. Kwon Jang-ho has the details.
The Ministry of Environment has started its investigation into whether Volkswagen diesel cars in Korea are also rigged with the emissions-dodging software that has shaken the global auto industry. Testing officially began on Thursday at the National Institute of Environmental Research. 7 models are under the microscope, including the Volkswagen Golf, Jetta, Beetle, and the Audi A3. The government said for the first 2 days, tests will be performed in a controlled lab environment, the same pre-scandal process that has been applied to pass emission tests. In this phase, inspectors analyse the cars while they're running on a treadmill and measure the emissions levels. Then next week, the cars will be tested on the streets of Incheon, where they'll be put through a number of driving conditions, such as going up and downhill, running with the air conditioner on and off, and moving at different speeds. Both tests are essential as the cheat software can cut emissions output in lab conditions by almost 40 times. The ministry said it expects to release the results in mid-November. If the tested vehicles are found to have the illegal software, the government will have the right to stop sales, order recalls, revoke their emissions classification, and impose fines. The ministry also said that once the investigation is over, authorities will begin inspecting diesel vehicles of other automakers, including domestic car manufacturers. But some industry experts say that more needs to be done to prevent such fraudulent practices.
We need to create an intermediary body to objectively check emissions test results. There needs to be this kind of process, which hasn't existed yet. We need to take this opportunity to create a system that people can trust.
Kwon Jang-ho, Arirang News.
Korea's industrial output has risen for 3 months in a row. This comes as the country steadily recovers from the after effects of the recent MERS outbreak. According to Statistics Korea, the country's output rose 0.5% on month in August. On-year growth was higher at 1.3%. By sector, the biggest growth was seen in the production of telecommunication devices and semiconductors. The release of new handsets and government policies to boost consumer spending are two key attributing factors. Production in the mining and manufacturing industries rose 0.4% in August from a month ago. Production in the service sector gained by the same margin. With continuing uncertainties in the global economy, many emerging countries are facing a greater risk of going bankrupt. Korea is no exception, with its credit default risk at a 2-year high. Kwon So-ah brings us this report.
Korea's 5-year credit default swap premium on its sovereign debt hit 82.43 basis points at the end of last month, according to market research firm Market, the highest since September 2013. A CDS premium is often used to indicate the creditworthiness of a company or country. Korea's top conglomerate Samsung Electronics' CDS premium jumped to a 2-year 3-month high, and other big-name companies saw their largest risk rates in 1 to 2 years. The risk premium rates of Korea and other emerging markets have been going up since China's stock market plunge in July. On top of that, they are facing growing uncertainties stemming from the U.S. decision on when to raise its interest rate. The average risk increase rate for this year was at nearly 62% for Brazil, followed by Malaysia at 56% and Korea at almost 52%.
With the US leaning towards an interest rate hike and China's slow growth expected to continue, there's a chance that the credit default risk will get even higher. But Korea is better off than other emerging economies, as it boasts a sizable current account surplus.
But despite being in the black, Korea's current account surplus is the result of imports being even worse than exports, the country's main growth engine. Korea's trade ministry said Thursday outbound shipments in September dropped by 8.3% from the same month last year, the 9th on-year fall in a row. Imports plunged by almost 22%, the biggest drop this year. Prospects for October are looking better, though, as the ministry predicts higher demand from North America, especially with November's Black Friday sales that signal the start of the holiday shopping season. Kwon So-ah, Arirang News.
For international news headlines, we turn to our Bruce Harrison at the News Center.
Our focus today, Russia intensifies airstrikes in Syria, Western-backed forces retake an important Afghan city from the Taliban, and the list of women claiming Bill Cosby assaulted them grows.
Bruce, what are the reports coming out of Syria about Russia's military intervention?
Russian President Vladimir Putin is moving quickly following approval to use the military in Syria. Today, Russia unleashed another round of airstrikes and claims to have hit Islamic State targets, but media report IS militants don't hold the areas Russia said it attacked. It appears Russia instead bombed rebel forces fighting against Syrian President Bashar Assad. Strikes on rebel forces would confirm the United States' fear that Putin only intends to prop up the Assad regime and not wipe out the IS insurgency. Our Song Jung-in has more about the situation in Syria.
Russia's defense ministry says its air force carried out around 20 missions targeting Islamic State militants in Syria on Wednesday and destroyed 8 positions belonging to the extremists, including a command center. The airstrikes included areas in central Homs and Hama provinces. However, the United States expressed doubts Moscow targeted IS-held territories as claimed. Washington believes the strikes were instead directed against opposition rebels threatening Syria's leader Bashar al-Assad. Syria's main Western-backed opposition group says one airstrike killed 36 civilians, including 5 children, in Homs. Moscow denies civilians were killed. The warplanes started their mission shortly after the Russian parliament unanimously voted to allow Vladimir Putin to use the air force to target militants. The U.S. and Russia are planning to hold military talks to ensure they do not come into accidental conflict during their respective air campaigns in Syria. Holding a press conference with Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov at UN headquarters in New York, U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry said talks could take place as early as Thursday.
So, as Sergei said to you, we agreed on the imperative of as soon as possible, perhaps even as soon as tomorrow, but as soon as possible, having a military-to-military deconfliction discussion.
The latest development has intensified debates on strategies to defeat violent extremists in the region. U.S. President Barack Obama and his Russian counterpart clashed over how to resolve the Syrian crisis at the UN General Assembly earlier in the week. Son Jung-in, Arirang News.
The Afghan government says it's retaken the city of Kunduz after it was seized by the Taliban in a surprise attack. The Taliban denies defeat and says its fighters still hold much of the city. Afghan security forces have been struggling for 2 days to retake the city with the support of U.S. airstrikes. The government launched its counterattack overnight.
We managed to clear all parts of Kunduz city from the Taliban. Right now we are in the main square of Kunduz, and I ask Kunduz residents to continue with their normal life.
The United States and allied forces officially ended their combat role in Afghanistan last year. They left behind personnel to train Afghan national security forces with the hope they're able to defend against insurgents on their own. 3 more women have come forward saying entertainer Bill Cosby sexually assaulted them. The American comedian was on the verge of a comeback last year when allegations went mainstream that he drugged and raped women for decades. A former aspiring Playboy playmate was one of the latest to tell of an encounter with the comedian.
I don't remember leaving the dinner show, and when I came to, I was lying in Bill Cosby's bed. Not in my own room. I'm sorry. Okay.
The statute of limitations prevents the latest accusers from taking legal action against Cosby. Their lawyers said they're coming forward to lend support to other victims with the hope Cosby's held accountable for what they believe he did to them. Cosby is yet to be charged with the crime, but his reputation as one of American television's favorite cuddly father figures is permanently tarnished. Those are today's stories. Have a good night.
Hello, I'm Lee Ji-hyun with your latest weather updates. The first day of October was rainy, windy, and chilly. Most of the rain has let up for now after many parts of the country received heavy amounts of rainfall. Seoul saw 35 millimeters of rain, while Busan received 57 millimeters of downpours, and Seogwipo in Jeju-do Island got nearly 150 millimeters of downpours. And strong wind alerts remain in place for the coastal and some of the inland regions, including here in Seoul, with windy conditions to continue into tomorrow. And daily highs in Seoul today didn't even make it to 20 degrees Celsius, and with the wind factor, it felt much chillier than what the thermometer indicated. And this sudden drop in temperatures will continue tomorrow, so dress warmly for your morning commute. But daily highs will be rising to higher than today, peaking to 23 here in the capital. On that note, let's take a closer look at the readings for other parts of the country. Daegu and Gwangju will see a high of 22, while Busan peaks at 23. And as for the other regions, it seems like Daejeon and Jeju Island will see a high of 22 and 23, while Dokdo rises to 19. Well, that's all for Korea, and here's international weather for viewers around the world.
And that brings us to the end of our newscast. Thank you for staying with us.
We'll have more for you same time tomorrow. Goodbye for now.